All right, here we are again. Baruch Hashem, Moidani. Hayom Yom, the 8th of Tammuz. Okay, reading from Hayom Yom. We find that Hashem's love for our father Avram was mainly because, and he quotes now a pasuk, that Avram will command Yitzaveh, he will command his children and his household. It wasn't for all that discovery and all that that he went through to discover monotheism and the singularity of God. And it wasn't for all the experience that he had of closeness to God. It was for the fact that he commanded his children and his household that God's love for Avram was stamped. Yitzaveh, right, communion to command, connotes bring into communion with God. We've mentioned many times before that mitzvah, is a language which also connotes, it means translation, chibur, connecting. Mitzvah connects, joins us with Hashem. So here, he commanded, he brought into communion with God. All of Avram's great avodah in the test to which he was subjected cannot be compared to his commanding others and bringing them into communion, to bring his merit to others, to bring others to Hashem. That's Hayom Yom. Lessons in Tanya, page 1009, our second day in Geras Tshuva, and in Likutei Amorim, top of page Tzadik Aleph, opposite page 180. Okay, so yesterday we learned that in regard to Tshuva, there are three types of averas, three types of ways in which we distance Hashem from Hashem. We distance ourselves from Hashem through either not doing a positive mitzvah, doing a negative mitzvah, or doing a negative mitzvah which has with it the punishment of being cut off or being killed by the hand of heaven, right? And for each one of them, we learn there is a tshuva. So what is tshuva? Top of page Tzadik Aleph. So vehine, behold, pay attention. The mitzvahs of tshuva, the mitzvah which we call tshuva, min ha-Torah, from the Torah, he azivas hachet bilvad, is just abandoning the behavior, abandoning the sin, the behavior either that I didn't do this, therefore I will, or I have done this and therefore I won't. So tshuva from the Torah, midoraisa, before we get into any other implications that have been learned and passed down to us from Chazal, it just means abandoning the sin, period. As is explained in the Gemara Sanhedrin, in the third parak, Mishpat, and in the book of Shulchan Aruch, which is called Choshen Mishpat, written in the 16th century. And Soif, at the end, Siman Lamed Daled, and in that book, Choshen Mishpat, it's in the chapter 34, where he speaks about the inyan of Edus. Choshen Mishpat is the last part. It's a part of the Shulchan Aruch of Yosef Cairo, which we call the Shulchan Aruch, is the body of compilation of halachas written by Yosef Cairo in Sfat, and the last section of it has a separate name called Choshen Mishpat. It deals with laws of financial laws, and here laws of witnessing in courts, edus. So over there, that's what it says, that the ikar inyan, the root inyan, or the main thing, the mitzvah of tshuva is to abandon the sin. Dahainu, and what does it mean to abandon the sin? Sheyigmar b'liboy, b'leiv sholem, that one literally completes in his heart, in a fullness of heart, in a b'leiv sholem, in a wholeness of heart, Leval yoshuv oy lechaslo ochsala, is that the person will no longer return to his foolishness, limred b'malchusi yisborach, to rebel against Hashem, may he be blessed. Le'yaver oid mitzvahs hamelech, and he will no longer transgress or depart from the mitzvahs of the king, as v'shalom, and the mitzvahs aseh, whether they are mitzvahs aseh, in other words, to depart from not doing mitzvahs aseh, or the mitzvahs leiser, say, to depart from, no longer transgress, to depart from doing anything which is negatively commanded from Hashem in the Torah that you shouldn't do it. So azibas achet, abandoning the sin. This is min Torah, the ikar of Tshuva. V'zecho ikar pirish loshin teshuva. So if you look at this, what does it mean to abandon the sin the way we've explained it? That I will no longer distance myself from Hashem, either by not doing what I should do or doing what I shouldn't do. So if you're no longer distancing yourself from Hashem, it means you're coming closer to Hashem. And this is the ikar inyan, the Alter Rebbe says, of this idea of abandoning, is lashon teshuva, to return. That's the word, tashuv, to means to return. To return, lashuv el havaya, to return to Hashem, b'chol liboy, with one's entire heart, u'b'chol nafshoy, and one's entire soul. La'avdei, to serve Hashem, u'lashamrei, and to keep oneself on guard, not to do anything negative, to do the positive, and to guard yourself from the negative, which encompasses kol mitzvot, all the mitzvahs of Hashem. As is written, the pasuk in Yeshayahu, Ya'azov Rosha Darkoi, the evil person should abandon his ways. So we abandon our ways, and we come, in doing that, we take on the ways of Hashem, which is coming closer to Hashem. And the pasuk goes on, Ve'ish oven mechshavoi soy, and the person should abandon, this is furthermore, abandon his ways, and a person should abandon his iniquity, his iniquitous thoughts, yoshuv el Hashem, and return to Hashem. So shuva is lashon tashuv, to return. Upira in Pashas Netzavim, in Pasha in the Chumash Netzavim, it's written, Kasiv, V'shavta ad Hashem Elokecha, you should return to Hashem your God, U'shamato b'koiloi, and listen to his voice, B'chulu, etc. And you should do this b'chol lavavecha, etc. Shuva Yisrael ad Hashem Elokecha, return Hashem to Elokecha. So here we see the word shuva, right? Shuva, return to Hashem your God. Hashivenu Hashem Elecha, and cause that Hashem should return to you. So return. This is the simple and root meaning of Tshuva, to return. V'lei kedasa hamon, and not according to the opinion of the common folk, sheteshuva hi hatainus, that the shuva is afflicting oneself. This is not shuva. Shuva is not afflicting oneself. We see that according to the Torah, one who does a negative commandment, which is chayav getting cut off or death by the hands of heaven, which the completion of his kapora, remember kapora yesterday, scouring, cleaning, right? And when I gave you the mashal of, imagine being a pot that's being scoured, there's a pain involved. But that pain, that scouring, that affliction, is a completion of one's kapora, of one's cleaning oneself out, so to speak. That's through Yidei Yasurim. And remember, these Yasurim are not self-inflicted. These afflictions are not something that a person should afflict himself in order to do this. We're talking about that Hashem will afflict you. Hainu, as he says, and more explanatory right now, Kodesh Baruch Hu maybe you love Yisurim. Hashem will bring upon you Yisurim. This is not part of the Shuva. This is a part of polishing, scouring, and making 100% cleaning off the dross after the Tshuva. Kamashikosav is written in the pasuk, Ubakadati b'shevet, and I will remember you with a shavet is a kindness, and I don't know, like a whip. It's a soft branch, hitting someone with a soft branch, a shavet. Upakadati daika, and who is doing this? I am doing this. God is doing this. Bahainu, when does this happen? When one's shuva is rutsuya lefanav yisborach, is acceptable in front of Hashem. You return to Hashem. B'shuvi Hashem b'chol leiliboy. You've returned to Hashem with all of your heart. V'nafshay, and all of your soul. Me'ahava, from love. You've done the shuva ba'ava, shuva out of love, of wanting to be close to Hashem. As we'll touch on later, there's a difference between shuva ba'ava, returning with love, and shuva ba'yira, because you're afraid. But the higher level of shuva is shuva ba'ava. You're returning to Hashem because you are awakened to a love of God and want to return and unify with Him. So all of this affliction that Hashem gives you is after that. After a person has returned ba'ava, azai, then this arusa de lasato, through this arousal from below, that you have aroused yourself and changed your behavior, or at least made a firm decision to abandon the behavior. That's called the arousal from below. That awakens an arousal from above. Ukamayim upon him, as we learned in Likutei Amorim, the face you show to the water is the face you get back. If you show an arousal to return, so Hashem wakes up. And that is called an Isurusa de La'ela. It's an arousal from above. So one's return down here below arouses an arousal from above, Hashem, which arouses the love and the kindness of Hashem, limrak avoinu, to scour one's iniquities, with afflictions. These are called yisurim shel ahava, afflictions of love. Hashem is happy with Yeshua, but He wants any dross, any remnant of that negativity taken away. So that's, as I say, in the mashal of shining up the frying pan, scouring it and shining up the frying pan. Mashakasav, as is written, Kiesasha Yohev Hashem, the one who Hashem loves, Yachiach, He rebukes. These are called Yisurim Shel Ava, afflictions of love. Therefore, when the Rambam and the Smag was earlier than the Rambam, and then the Rambam, of course, with his code of Jewish law, when they come to remember and point out the halachas of Tshuva, so they don't include shum tiniest klau, any fasting, as part of the mitzvah of Tshuva, the mitzvahs of Tshuva, the mitzvah of Tshuva. After b'chrisus and mitzvahs based in, even those sins which are the most severe. Rak havidui, what do they include? Confession. I confess what I did. Ubakashis mechila, and asking for forgiveness. That's regret upon. The first thing is articulating what you did, and then expressing one's desire for forgiveness. B'kamasha b'Torah, as is written in the Torah itself, it says, "Vadu es chatosam." One should confess one's sins, etc. But there's no mention there of fasting or bringing afflictions upon yourself. And it's written in Sefer Joel, "Shuvoi adai b'chol levavechem." Return to me with the entirety of your heart. B'tzum, in fast, ubebechya. So there it does mention fast. And so we understand that as Hainu lebatul hagazera shenigzra lemerek oven ador. That was to nullify the decree that had been decreed in order to clean up the generation. In other words, asking for Hashem to clean us up when there's a generational sin, when in a sinful generation. Remember, Yoel is a prophet, and he's asking Hashem to clean the dross. And so he's asking for that. Not that this is a part of Tshuva, but he's asking for that, to clean the dross. And this cleaning up the dross, polishing the pan, whatever muscle works for you, polishing the apple, scrubbing the laundry on a laundry, right? On a washboard, if people remember what a washboard looks like. Imagine a wash tub going around, round and round. If that were you going around and around in a washing machine, it would be a little difficult. But that's not the Tshuva. That's to scrub clean and get rid of the dross. And this scraping up, cleaning up the dross, polishing, whatever the metaphor is to say, works for you. This is the reason for all the tinus and all the difficulties. Shalei Tove ala tzibur is the prophets and others prayed for them, and we see now Esther herself fasted, right? Tinus Esther. So the main point, this is not part of the Tshuva. This is part of polishing the apple, giving a gift, so to speak, coming clean. Coming clean is probably a good mashal for that. Coming clean. And that which is written in the Musar Sforim, the Sforim which are much more emphasizing the harshness and bringing afflictions upon oneself. It even speaks, those books speak about bringing afflictions upon yourself. In the beginning of the Sefer Hakeach, the siman in the chapter that's talked about Hasidim harbe, that many Hasidim would fast, tainus, they would fast, besigufim, and would voluntarily bring afflictions upon themselves. La'eved al klisis u'mises beistin, for those who transgress these serious sins, which are punishable by chorus u'mises beistin. B'chein l'moitzi zerav v'taler, or bringing out seed in vain. Shechayim misa b'dei shemayim, which is a sin which is death from the hands of heaven. As we say in the Torah about Or and Onan who did this, and they were judged like those who, who were chayav in krisis, the Indian zeh. So all of that, this was just to save themselves from the punishment of the Yisuri, from the afflictions from above. The Gam Kedele Zaris, and also to hasten, to bring about, also to make quickly, Gamar Kaporose Nafshe, the completion of one's Kapora. Remember the word Kapora, right? From Yom Kippur, he defined in 3 or 4 words, to clean up, to polish, to and get rid of the dark, to scour, to rinse, and to polish. So this is something that happens after the Tshuva, and one can take those things upon themselves. In fact, we're going to learn in the next couple of chapters, and I'm laughing because we're going to have to see how does this apply to us, what the different ways of prescriptions for fasting for different kinds of things. But the point of it all is to keep in mind that they're either the afflictions which come from above or the afflictions which a person takes on voluntarily are not part of the tshuva, but they're part of the final, to use the Alter Rebbe's words, scouring, rinsing, and polishing to make oneself entirely free of any attachment of the negativity. And also, he lends this particular chapter, is to either to complete the kapora, the scouring and the rinsing, etc., or maybe to get rid of the doubt that maybe you haven't done tshuva in the most impeccable way, with the entirety of one's heart and soul, from love, maybe you've done tshuva from yira, tshuva from fear, but you haven't done the higher level tshuva from love, and so to provide an incentive and to bring it clear to you, people have voluntarily taken upon themselves tainus, fast. But the point being, that's something above and beyond what we call tshuva. Tshuva is simply to return to Hashem, either by returning to, coming close to Him by doing what you haven't done or not doing what you have done. that's the end of today's Tanya, and the end of chapter 1 in the Gerasa Tshuva. Any questions? No hands up? All hands down. Okay. So, any beginnings? Someone's hand just went up.
Guess who? I have a question. But we davened, Hashem, don't send us tests.
Yeah, this is not a test. This is
don't
a cleaning.
This is a
different
suffering, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
We
because it's
davened
painful.
for that.
Right. We shouldn't. Yeah. Because it's painful.
But that's supposed to be his accepting our tshuva. He tests us more.
We're davening to say, Hashem, take me as I am, right? But his ein machshavos sai machshavos seichem. Our thoughts are not his thoughts.
That's a great answer to every question.
And he knows what you need more than you know what you need. It's the only answer I know. He knows what you need more than you know what you need.
I was trying to think, where is that from? Well,
it's a pasuk somewhere. I don't know.
I'm trying
I don't know. I don't know from where. Truthfully,
it's in davening, I think. All right.
Pasuk. Yeah. So yes.
But here it's saying it's a positive thing. If your tshuva is accepted, then Hashem's going to even cleanse you more. You did your job. You did a great job doing tshuva, and now I'm going to really give you a chance to show it, right?
Yeah. Either I will do it for you, or I'm giving you even an opportunity to do it yourself with tainus, with fasting, with sigufin. Get rid of the dross yourself. So that's, it's an opportunity. Yisurim shel Abba. This is not, look, I mean, I'm with you. This is not easy to take. That we don't want Yisurim, as you just quoted, Lo yal yidei Yisurim, right? But we need to know, at least know it in our heads, if not feel it in our hearts, that any affliction, it says one of the Chazal, the famous Chazal, that if a person puts his hand in his pocket to take out a quarter to pay for something, and instead he only's got a nickel, he has to understand that this is from the hand of heaven. This little affliction that he had, oh my gosh, is from heaven. We don't ask, we don't want it, but Hashem knows best. Father knows best.
But here he's asking to accept it with love and to know that Hashem's really paying attention to me. Wow, I'm so lucky.
Well, yeah, he paid attention to your tshuva. That's for sure. Right. And now he either gives you an opportunity or creates the opportunity to not only come back to me, but I see you're here, but you've got some stuff attached to you. Let me help you with that. And then we can really embrace. That's the spirit of it, and yes, it's not easy to take. So let's deal at least with the first part, as we walk in God's ways, to walk in his ways, at least that part. To make, as he said, the main part of Tshuva is first comes the realization and confessing, meaning bringing to speech, at least your inner speech, an awareness of the way that you are disconnected, and a firm determination to make that connection, and then make the connection. And the connection we learned in our Yom Yom, right? Mitzvah, it's the mitzvah. So one clear behavior is to take a little stock in each and every moment. Where do I have an opportunity to mitzvah, to connect with him? And that's Tshuva. Tshuva b'chol yoyim, right? And that's an expression. Person that has to do Tshuva the entire day, because the opportunity is always there to connect to Hashem deeper and deeper. And if no one else has anything to add, we'll see you tomorrow. Emir Hashem. Okay?
Thank you.
Bye-bye.